In 2019, the Lithuanian National Library of Martynas Mažvydas celebrated its centenary. The history of the National Library began on the 20th of December, 1919, when the Central State Bookstore, the predecessor of the current National Library, was founded by a decree signed by Prime Minister Ernestas Galvanauskas. The National Library is a contemporary of the State of Lithuania restored in 1918. Therefore, it is rightly called a witness of one of the most important processes of its multi-ethnic history. The library funds store about 6.4 million of tangible information units, including more than 100,000 publications of particular value, dated from the 15th century to the 21st century, more than 250,000 manuscripts. The National Library carries a unique mission. It collects and preserves the National Archival Fund of published documents in its archives. It is a real treasure of the nation's memory and history, which ensures the transmission of information about past events to future generations. The National Archival Fund of published documents stores Lithuanian publications and those published in Lithuania dating back to the 16th century. The archive currently holds 2.5 million tangible units of information. Collection of rare prints consists of about 85,000 documents. Parchment collection, 151 parchments, the oldest of which dates back to the 14th century. These are the writings of Polish kings and Grand Dukes, official decrees and documents issued by the Pope of the Catholic Church. A collection of books from the famous Plantin Moretus printing house Oficina Plantiniana of the 16th, 18th centuries in the Netherlands. Currently, 277 copies are stored in the library. Incunabula collection, books published between the invention of printing, about 1440, and the late 16th century. 91 publications have been identified. Recently, the National Library has been conducting research on the collection of manor libraries. Due to historical circumstances, a considerable number of manor library collections found their place of storage here in the first decades of the library's existence. One of the most impressive is the collection of the famous 18th century Kosakovsky family library, which commemorates the owners of broad interests and active social, political, and cultural activities. The rich and diverse world of manuscript documents of the 19th and of the first half of 20th centuries. It opens new, as yet unexplored topics, allows to take a new look at the twists and turns of the complex, multi-ethnic history of Lithuania. Currently, the library holds about 95,000 manuscripts. The diary of Władysław Wielhorski, born in late 19th century, Polish historian, political scientist, public figure who lived in Lithuania. It records the everyday life of the First World War in Žemaitija region of Lithuania. In 2019, the National Library published the diary as a separate book. According to the researchers, the author of the diary was undoubtedly one of the most important personalities who shaped the image of Lithuania in interwar Poland. Archive of Mstislav Dobrzyński, born in 1875, painter, set designer, graphic designer, heraldic specialist. In 2018, the National Library published the heraldry album of Dobrzyński, a testimony to his significant contribution to the creation of the symbols of the State of Lithuania, restored in 1918. The entire world of the Lithuanian Jewish community opens up from the Judaica collection stored in the library. The names of Vilna Gaon and Matisyahu Strashun are well known to the world. Their personal book collections are stored in the National Library and are included in the National Register of the UNESCO Memory of the World program. The collection of Vilna Gaon consists of more than 70 documents. The library of Matisyahu Strashun includes 1,435 books, 235 periodicals, and 3 manuscripts. The library stores more than 170,000 manuscripts of the Jewish community's heritage documents, a testimony to the active and wide-ranging interests of the Jewish community. The archival fund of the YIVO Jewish Research Institute, which was established in Vilnius in 1925 and resumed its activities in the United States, in New York, after World War II. Poet Avram Sutskever Manuscript Fund. The previously unpublished collection, published as a separate book in 2019, titled Collection of 10 Poems, was found and identified here. The Child's World opens from Beba Epstein's autobiography manuscript, published in the Jewish Heritage Reading Series in 2021. The fact of the forced immigration of Lithuanian citizens to the West is illustrated by the press collection of the Lithuanian displaced persons. It tells about the fact that after the Second World War, more than 70,000 of Lithuanian citizens had to leave the country fleeing the Soviet occupation. In 2014, the collection was included in the UNESCO Memory of the World National Register. Of particular importance is the collection of gramophone plates from the beginning of the 20th century kept in the library, 2,566 titles. The personal libraries of prominent political and cultural figures of the country are stored in the National Library. The personal book collection of Vytautas Landsbergis, the first leader of the restored Republic of Lithuania, contains more than 10,000 documents. In 2017, the collection was transferred to the National Library. On its basis, the statehood space was established, where civic, public, and cultural events are held. The book collection of the Lozoraičiai family of Lithuanian diplomats has more than 20,000 publications. Its representatives Stasys Lozoraitis Jr., and Kazys Lozoraitis were the ambassadors to Italy, the United States, and to the Holy See for many years. A collection of books by the world-famous poet, publicist, literary expert Professor Tomas Venclova. The collection includes the poet's work translated into more than 20 languages, as well as extensive collections of Slavic literary history and criticism, as well as Slavic fiction. From 1980 to 2012, Tomas Venclova was a professor at Yale University's Department of Slavic Languages. Today, the National Library is often referred to as the House of the Nation. It's an institution capable of creating and fostering state traditions and be used by public as a place for self-education. Researchers of the National Library carry out research on old historical collections and manuscript archives. Their results open up new perspectives of history of Lithuania, recording facts, interpreting events, and evaluating the actions of personalities. In the documentary archive, signs of the multi-ethnic history of our country is visible. Historical signs preserved in the library will become testimonies of the new century of its activity.